let's transition and let's go to Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, as the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Miami Dolphins 31-17 Sunday night in Philadelphia. For the Dolphins, Tua, he went 23 of 32. He threw for 216 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. For the Eagles, Jalen Hurts went 23 of 31. He threw for 279 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. A.J. Brown had a great performance, 10 receptions, 137 receiving yards, 1 touchdown. So, as I watched this big game Sunday night in front of my 65-inch TV here I got at my house here in this wonderful estate of Cincinnati, Ohio, as I watched this game, a game in which I was highly anticipating between two of the best teams in the NFL, in the Miami Dolphins and the Philadelphia Eagles. As I watched this game, my biggest takeaway with the Miami Dolphins is the Miami Dolphins are not Super Bowl contenders, but they are playoff contenders. And the reason why I came to the conclusion that the Miami Dolphins are not Super Bowl contenders and not and are just playoff contenders, that they're not Super Bowl contenders and they are only playoff contenders. The reason why I came to that conclusion is because the Miami Dolphins are a finesse football team. They are not a physical football team. And in 2 losses this year, because the Dolphins now are 5-2, and in their 2 losses this year against the Bills and against the Eagles, the Dolphins' offensive line have given up 4 sacks apiece in each of those losses. So what that tells me, opposing defenses, they can get pressure on Tua, and if you get pressure on Tua, the Dolphins' offense becomes ineffective. It becomes ineffective because as fast as Tyreek Hill is, and Jalen Waddle as well, if you can create pressure on Tua, it will throw off the timing of the Dolphins' offense. And we know that this Dolphins' offense is all about timing because they put Tyreek Hill in motion, literally running him behind the line of scrimmage. And as soon as the ball is hiked, Tyreek Hill is taking off down the field. This is why, this is why I give Mike McDaniel so much credit, because he knows his personnel. He knows Tyreek Hill is one of the fastest humans in the world. And so he puts Tyreek Hill in motion, runs him through the backfield and behind the line of scrimmage. And once the ball is hiked, Tyreek Hill is going up the sideline for a fade. But I've noticed that if you can slow down Tyreek Hill and his ability to win on the fade route, it makes this Miami Dolphins offense average. If you slow down Tyreek Hill and you don't allow Tyreek Hill to get behind your defense, you have a better chance at being able to slow down this Miami Dolphins offense and make them look average. And it happened Sunday night in Philly. Besides the 1 touchdown that Tyreek Hill caught in the second quarter, it was a 27-yard touchdown catch when the Dolphins were in Eagles territory. He caught a 27-yard touchdown pass from Tua. Besides that, I thought the Eagles defense did a pretty good job against Tyreek Hill Sunday night. He only had 11 receptions for 88 receiving yards. I feel like anytime you can hold Tyreek Hill under 100 receiving yards, as a defense, you did your job. We know Tyreek Hill has big play ability, and he's a threat. Anytime he catches the football, he's a threat to take it the distance and hit his head on the goalpost. If you can hold Tyreek Hill to under 100 yards receiving, you did your job as a defense. Shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles defense. I thought they did a great job containing Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle had 6 receptions for 63 receiving yards. But another observation that I had watching this game was Tyreek Hill, he's a great player. I don't want to take nothing away from Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is a great player, and so far this season, Tyreek Hill has 53 receptions, 902 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns. But when I look at Tyreek Hill, if you can stop him from running the fade route, Tyreek Hill is not as great of a player as other players are as all-around receivers. Sometimes I look at Tyreek Hill and I feel like he's a one-trick pony. He's a one-trick pony. If you can slow him down and not allow him to get behind your defense on a fade route, you have a chance at being able to slow down Tyreek Hill. Unlike Justin Jefferson, unlike Devontae Adams, unlike Jamar Chase, and unlike A.J. Brown, who I'm going to get to here in a minute, they have all-around games as receivers. They have all-around skill sets to where even if they don't have the fade route going, they can go over the middle for a slant for a 10 or 12-yard reception for their quarterback. They can do comeback routes and catch the football and make plays in the open field. And we know Tyreek Hill can do that as well, but Tyreek Hill is at his best when he's running fade routes and he gets behind your defense and uses his speed to get into the end zone. But I don't feel like Tyreek Hill is a great possession receiver. That's what it is. Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, A.J. Brown, they're great possession receivers. And even Jamar Chase, I feel like he's done a better job this year at being a possession receiver. Cooper Kupp also. We got to have him, include him in that conversation. They are possession receivers. You can force feed them the football and your offense will be effective. I'm not so sure you can force feed Tyreek Hill the football. That's why when you look at Tyreek Hill's numbers, usually Tyreek Hill has 130 yards receiving, but only 4 receptions because he gets his yards in big chunk plays. Unlike Justin Jefferson, you look at Justin Jefferson, he'll have 140 receiving yards, but he'll have 10 receptions. So Tyreek Hill is still a top 5 receiver in the NFL. I'm not trying to diminish Tyreek Hill. He's one of the best receivers in the NFL, and he's probably the most dangerous receiver in the NFL. But I'm just starting to wonder if he's a one-trick pony, and if you stop him from getting behind your defense, you can neutralize Tyreek Hill to some degree. Something to think about. But when I look at the Miami Dolphins overall as a football team, when you look at the teams that the Dolphins have beaten so far this year, and compared to the teams that they have lost to, the teams that they have beaten have a combined record of 8-25. Those are the teams that the Miami Dolphins have beaten so far this year. Let's look at those teams. The Panthers, Giants, Broncos, Patriots, Chargers. Those are the 5 teams the Dolphins have beaten this year. And their combined record, those 5 teams, 8-25. The 2 teams they lost to, Bills, Eagles, combined record 10-4. So what that tells me is the Miami Dolphins are similar to the Dallas Cowboys. They're front runners. They're front runners. And again, are they playoff contenders? Absolutely. But are they Super Bowl contenders? They are not Super Bowl contenders. The Miami Dolphins are not as good as the Baltimore Ravens. They're not as good as the Kansas City Chiefs. They're not as good as the Philadelphia Eagles or the San Francisco 49ers. They're more so on that level of that second tier of teams, like the Detroit Lions, the Seattle Seahawks, The Jacksonville Jaguars, I would say, is like a second-tier football team. They've been playing better. So that's where I look at the Miami Dolphins at right now and how I feel about them. They're playoff contenders, yes, but not Super Bowl contenders. As for the Philadelphia Eagles, when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles, when it comes to the best receivers in the NFL, we talk a lot about Tyreek Hill. We talk a lot about Jamar Chase. We talk a lot about Justin Jefferson. We have to start including A.J. Brown in that conversation. A.J. Brown, in 5 straight games, has had 125 receiving yards or more. We got to start including A.J. Brown in that best receiver in the NFL conversation. He has been balling for the Philadelphia Eagles. And you look at A.J. Brown so far this year, his stats: 52 receptions, 809 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns, averaging over 15 yards per catch. A.J. Brown is elite. And the Tennessee Titans made a mistake trading A.J. Brown. He is the real deal. Seriously. And this is why I was watching this game and I was thinking, damn, the perception, and when I listen to people who rank their top receivers in the NFL, most people rank Tyreek Hill over A.J. Brown. And I'm thinking, if I was a franchise, would I rather have Tyreek Hill or A.J. Brown? And the more I thought about it, and the more A.J. Brown made play after play after play, I thought to myself, I'd rather have A.J. Brown over Tyreek Hill. A.J. Brown is the real deal, and he reminds me of Terrell Owens. Yes, I think Terrell Owens was a top 3 receiver in NFL history, and I believe A.J. Brown is similar to Terrell Owens as a receiver. I know that's high praise, but A.J. Brown is big time. He's big time. Now, the one thing that the Eagles have to do better is protect the football, specifically Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts this year so far got 8 interceptions. He only had 6 interceptions all of last season. So Jalen Hurts has to do a better job of protecting the football. He got to do a better job of protecting the football. He had a pick 6 in this game. The Eagles defense literally neutralized the Dolphins offense. The Dolphins had 17 points, but 7 of those 17 points came off of a pick 6. So really the Eagles defense only gave up 10 points. But Jalen Hurts has to do a better job of protecting the football. But I still feel like Jalen Hurts is a top-tier quarterback, and he's definitely a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And if Jalen Hurts is your only weakness on your football team, I think the Philadelphia Eagles should feel good about themselves as we head into the second half of the season, because Jalen Hurts will get it together. And the Philadelphia Eagles right now look like they are not only the best team in the NFC East, but the best team in the NFC again. I know they had the rough loss against the Jets, but this Eagles football team, they are the real deal. And I feel like their running back, DeAndre Swift, he's an upgrade over Miles Sanders. He is an upgrade. This year, Swift has 101 carries, 514 rushing yards, only 2 touchdowns, but he's averaging over 5 yards per carry. He's been big time. And I thought in this game against the Dolphins, that running game is what really helped the Eagles. They only had 99 rushing yards, so it doesn't sound like that much. But anytime you can keep the defense honest and not be one-dimensional, you're going to be an effective football team. They had 12 rushing first downs in this game against the Dolphins. 12. And 2 rushing touchdowns. So I like what I'm seeing right now from the Eagles. And I feel like the Eagles are definitely the favorites right now in the NFC. And they will be representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. Now, things could change. And the 49ers are just as good as the Eagles are. But the difference in the 49ers and the Eagles is quarterback. That's the difference, because Jalen Hurts is better than Brock Purdy is. And so, shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles. Shout out to Nick Sirianni, their head coach. And by the way, this this tush push from the Eagles, this brotherly shove, I don't have no problem with it. I don't have no problem with it. Anytime the Philadelphia Eagles are less than 2 yards away from the sticks, they always run this tush push, and the NFL is trying to ban this play, but I don't have a problem with the Eagles running this play whatsoever at all. It's big boy football. Put your trench strap on. You know what's coming. Try and stop it. Try and stop it. But I have no problem with that play. I have no issue with it whatsoever. And you saw on one of the Eagles' last possessions, even in Dolphins territory, Nick Sirianni had the confidence in his offense to run the brotherly shove. And they were only up at that point, I believe, by 7 points. It was 24-17. If the Dolphins stop the Eagles on that play, Dolphins get the ball in their territory and have a great chance to tie the game up. But Nick Sirianni trusted his offense. And they got the first down and continued the drive. So shout out to Nick Sirianni. Shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles. And they right now are the team to beat in the NFC.